Wealthies, welcome back. If you're new here, this is All the Wealth, our Wealth More Wealth Building channel. I'm Mical Jeanlys-White, and with me is our very own
Tanya Frias, head of
yeah.
wealth. I know I get a little jealous because, it's not just me and Mical all the time on this podcast. But it's okay. It's okay.
Well,
We don't want to
guys,
get bored.
we have a lot of fun on the podcast. Guys, today we are talking about the student loans. I'm sure many of you have already heard student loans are being reinstated. And if you haven't, this is the news. And we're here today to talk about the student loans, how it is impacting many of you, particularly those of you in our Wealthmore communities that are part of our cash flow management, and even those of you that are in our home ownership communities. So we wanted to come on today and talk about what this all means, give you guys some practical tips for those of you who maybe are now finding yourself back in repayment or needing to adjust. But we also know that there is a lot of other news in the markets, and all of these things are coming together and impacting your wealth building goals in one way, shape, or form. So let's get at it.
Yep. Let's go.
Tanya here has been doing a fantastic job tracking the student loans, the developments, even how the government is handling the different platforms. So I thought I'd let Tanya take it away and sort of give you guys an overview of what's happening.
Yeah, so student loans is probably the one area of financial planning that invokes all kinds of emotions, right? Either anxiety, stress, I want to get rid of it, or the opposite. It's like I just want to make sure I'm up to date, but I want to pay as little as possible, right? This is not going to control me because it can. And it's also complicated.
Yeah.
It's not a straightforward topic. It's not a straightforward loan to take care of.
Yeah.
Every loan that you've taken out in your life, you understood what the terms were from the beginning, and then you start paying on a set date
Yeah.
every single month. It's pretty straightforward. You usually have a date when it's going to end, and not much you can do there.
Yeah.
Student loans don't work that way. It's probably the only loan that you'll ever take out in your life where the terms can change
Yeah.
after. So, and because
Tanya, we should talk about like the good and bad of it. So why don't, because there are some features of it that are helpful that you would never get on other loans.
yes, so the student loans that are issued by the federal government offer a wide range of variety of payment options. They also offer you options if for some reason you can't pay, right? There's flexibility there. Depending on what job you take, your career path, you could also have student loan forgiveness.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of advantages to the federal student loans. Now, all these advantages do not apply when you get a private student loan from a financial institution. Those loans are pretty much set up the way a traditional loan would be. You know what your payment is, you have to make those payments. If you're late, it gets reported, and just it would go down the path of every other loan that you take out if you default.
Yeah.
But the advantage with the private ones is that you have access to different interest rates. The
Yeah.
student loan rates through the government are set by the government,
You
and they
got it.
get set each and every single month.
Yeah. And we should start on, whether or not I know a lot of people are feeling anxious about this, but first and foremost, you invested in your future by being in a situation to
Yeah.
even have a student loan. And I know for some of you, it may feel like the storm clouds are coming in, but we want to go through what this all means, right? So, as of May 5th, the administration announced that student loans will go back into their recollection status, and that is for all borrowers.
Right. It's for all borrowers, but the the way that it's being reported is that it sounds very scary. And because of the overall landscape of student loans, it is sort of scary, right?
Yeah.
But what they're essentially saying is that starting May 5th, if you are not paying, these non payments will now be reported to the credit bureaus. and that they will follow the steps that's as the student loan folks have done in the past prior to
Yeah,
COVID. If you don't pay, it gets reported. If you default, they could garnish your wages, they could garnish your tax returns, things like that can start to happen. And the government is saying now that we are following through with the traditional way of treating student loans for non-payment.
exactly. And and let's go through some of the facts out there, right? We have this effectively going in on May 5th, which is Monday. So this is happening right around the corner. Based on the data that has been shared by the Fed, there are about 5 million borrowers who are in default status.
Right. So those folks can face the possible consequences that we just mentioned.
Exactly. So if you were not paying because you were expecting the loan forgiveness, this may come as a bit of a shock for you, as the average student loan payment is often somewhere in the $400 range. So if that was not in your budget, certainly by May 5th, this will kick in. And then there are also folks that are, we do have pretty widespread delinquencies that are out there.
Yeah, I mean, another statistic that we looked at that was quite shocking to me, which I had no idea. Currently, only 38% of borrowers are making regular payments. That's really low. But the statistic that really stood out to me was the other part is that only 60% were making regular payments prior to COVID.
Yes.
So this is why it's such a touchy and complicated subject because the student loan landscape, the amounts, the payments, there was trouble way before COVID, right? It's a whole institution that needs to be revamped, looked at. And because of that, the current state makes it more complicated, but it has always been complicated for anyone
Yeah.
who's been paying student loans all these years.
Yeah. But we do want to bring some simplicity out. Like any other loan, if you took out student loans, there is an expectation of repayment.
Mhm.
There have been a lot of policy discussions around this in the last 4 to 8 years that have probably had a lot of borrowers expecting some sort of forgiveness, loans going away. As things stand today, those loans are now in repayment, and we want you guys out here to think of them as any other loan. Figure out sort of like the best repayment terms for you so that this doesn't negatively impact your credit scores and your broader wealth building goals.
Exactly. We're essentially saying that the option that it may go away, which clearly was a
On the table at
plausible
some point,
option at the table,
but
right?
it's no longer,
It's no longer there.
it's gone. So
Period.
we all have to be like, that is in the rearview mirror.
Yes.
It's not likely coming back. And part of managing our wealth goals is to deal with the realities.
Yeah, and focus on the things that you can control, right? So,
Absolutely.
yes, student loan repayment and even processing for student loans when you're looking to get a loan may be complicated, but certain things are still the same. We do still have the traditional repayment options,
Yep.
right? You can have a standard plan, which most people don't choose because that's the largest payment. You can have a graduated plan where your payments start lower in the beginning and they get higher over time.
Yep.
Extend the payment plan. So the traditional repayment term is 10 years. That can be extended out to 25 to lower the payment. And then there's the income driven repayment plans.
Yeah.
So there are about 3 or 4 of them. What they're all based on your income. And the thing about the income driven payment plans and what's caused a little bit of confusion is that during the Biden administration, they released a repayment plan, the SAVE plan, which made the payments even lower.
Lower.
That payment plan is still stuck in the courts.
Yeah.
So many people went for that payment plan.
Plan.
And what essentially happens in the system is that you're just on pause, right? It causes a lot of confusion. That being said, all these other options are available. And I do want to put a big star here for the folks that work for not for profits, hospitals, schools, all the folks eligible for student loan forgiveness based off of working in these industries or for a certain amount of time have to be in an income driven payment plan. And it's not time, it's payments. So if you're on pause, you're not working towards that forgiveness. Definitely reach out to your servicer
Yes.
and come up with a plan that works. It's important to do that. We understand we have millions of people figuring it out. So you will wait, you'll be on hold, but do your part to make sure that you are not going to be facing these negative consequences that you keep hearing about in the headlines.
Absolutely. And we need to also remind people to sort of think about their student loans in the context of like their overall debt.
Mhm.
Many of our federal student loans tend to be some of the lower interest rate debt out there. And as you're thinking about it, there are people that are members here that have very strong feelings about their student loans and that repayment, but yet may also have other debt like credit card debt that are at much higher rates,
Yeah, correct. And
right?
even when you're going to get a mortgage or any type of, long-term lending, in terms of order of good to bad, your credit card payments are probably the ones that don't help you at all. That
Exactly.
that is the one that you should take care of ASAP. Student loans and your mortgage is a different sort of debt. It's a different type of investment. One is an investment in yourself, the other is an investment in your home where you live. So they get treated differently, but they both can impact your credit rating really
Yeah,
negatively if you don't pay it.
absolutely. And as you guys are balancing this and other debt, you certainly want to pay things like consumer credit card debt that have high APRs off and not carry those revolving balances because you know, it's expensive debt. But as you're balancing student loans and whether or not you aggressively try to pay off your student loans, whether or not you trade off student loans, paying that off and deferring home ownership and investing, I think it's important that you guys think about how do you do all of these things? And don't cringe, right? Because there are things that if you are not doing, you are missing out on the upside. And we can share personal stories. I remember having student loan debt and wanting to pay it off, to just get rid of it. And it took working with a financial advisor to realize that that debt was at such a low interest rate. And me putting additional payments towards it was not the best idea when I could be investing in the market or putting money towards a home that would appreciate at a greater rate than me putting extra money towards getting rid of the student loan debt.
Yeah, correct. And that's the importance of advice and looking at your overall financial situation, figuring out where is your cash flow best allocated, seeing what the numbers look like.
Look like.
And this is why, I mean, we've had tons of conversations about student loans, in particular because of the emotional
Yes.
attachment that people have to it. I mean, it really is opposite spectrums of folks.
Yes.
And this is why it's in the media, right?
Yes.
This is why even before COVID, only 60% were paying.
On a regular basis.
Yes.
Exactly.
So this is a touchy subject, but it's still important.
You got it. And it's important that you guys have smart strategies around debt management and also wealth accumulation. You know, student loans, home ownership, you can put them in the category of sort of like good debt investments that you've made. But how do you pay these off in a practical manner while you still give yourself the free cash flow that you need to continue to build wealth? Like, how do you do these things in a smart way that has you guys feeling like we're making progress, right?
Mhm.
Like, I have to pay these student loans, but I can find an income plan or a graduation plan that makes sense while I continue to build my wealth journey. particularly when there are opportunities in the market. And we talked about this a few episodes ago. The correction that's happening in the market may be a great opportunity for some of our younger investors to get in.
Right. Right.
So this is why I want you guys to be scheduling a one-on-one with Tanya or one of our wealth advisors to really look at your financial options so you can look at the current market and make even smarter decisions about how to invest, how to pay off debt, how to think about home ownership so you set yourself up for the maximum upside.
Right. And listen, we're not saying that this is a simple thing, that any of this is easy, especially for folks who have kids that are about to go off to college and sort of the mental framework of like, hey, I'm still paying for mine. I'm about to pay for
Yeah.
for my kids to go to school. These are all things that get touched on with our advisors. These are all the things that we tackle when we work with our clients and help them get in a great financial position and help them build wealth. Tackle all those issues. If money were just numbers, we would this wouldn't
It'd be a
even
lot easier.
be a lot easier.
It
Exactly.
would be. And a big part of this is like separating the emotions and filtering out the noise because there are folks out there who are not certified financial planners who have strong points of view out there on social media who are telling you guys you need to have like a zero debt existence and that you must pay off all debt before you start investing. And there is no data, at least no data that our team has seen, that suggests that that strategy is the best way to build wealth.
Yes. And a lot of those strategies are really old,
Outdated.
outdated. That's the better term for a different environment.
Yes,
Completely different environment. The landscape today for consumers here in the United States is very different from what it was in, 40, 50 years ago.
you got it. And we don't want to have this sort of broad stroke approach to debt, like all debt is bad debt. Not true. It is a matter of looking at your debt, but also looking at your opportunities in the market and how investing certain pools of money, some of your free cash flow, can help you build wealth while you're also paying down your good debt.
Yes.
So, Tanya, as you think about all of the things happening in the market, we've been getting a lot of news from GDP slowing down. Thankfully, today's job market numbers were positive. That was a nice woohoo. Job market is holding up. I feel like we need like confetti for that as well. But I have to say, I was very, very, very happy to see that the job market is holding. As for most of us, that is our primary source of income is being able to have a strong job market. It's also a big way in which we increase our income, being able to have mobility, to student loan topic, being able to get additional education and boost our income. So excited for the jobs
That's really
report.
good. And also for those job seekers out there, for any, if you're looking for a job, there are plenty of employers that offer student loan repayment assistance. Those employers get big stars from me,
Yes.
because it is an issue that affects a lot of Americans. And if you have a smart enough, well-rounded employer that cares about the employees,
Yes.
they can contribute almost $5,000 a year to your
Yes.
student loan
We
payment.
love
We
those
get those.
employers. We love employers that are helping you guys with 401k. We love employers that are
Budget.
thinking about student loans. These are good practices to engage and retain your employees by giving them these benefits that help the organization attract and keep talent, but also help you guys as employees meet your financial goals.
Yep.
Right? And particularly if your additional education is directly applicable to that job.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a
Very much so.
win-win. Love those. Keep
Yes,
that.
we like those.
Keep doing that, employers. But it's good to have a glimmer. And we are about 30 days. Today is literally a month since the tariffs were announced. So we are 30-day-ish into tariffs. and we have another 60 days as we wait for the outcomes of the tariffs. So we know you guys are also dealing with concerns about rising prices, inflation. Amazon reported earlier in the week, and that certainly brought a lot of concern into the markets around their existing inventories and how, as their inventories sort of dwindle away, higher prices are likely on the horizon. So we know you guys are dealing with that as well. And now you're having to factor in student loan repayment into your budgets. But I think a big part of it is to sit down and actually look at those budgets.
Yeah, we have me and Mical over the past couple of weeks have been reaching out one on one to our users. Yes, actually making phone calls.
Yes, good old phone
Very
calls.
phone calls. Yes, we make them.
And thank you guys for taking our phone calls.
Yes.
Like, kudos.
Yes, kudos to you guys because I know I don't pick up my phone if I don't know who's calling me. So they are better than me.
Yes.
But we do hear from folks worried, right? I haven't gotten started because of the environment. I haven't done these things because we do offer investments on our platform, but more than anything, you get access to an advisor to
Yes.
plan, to strategize, right?
Yes.
This is investments are just one piece of your financial plan.
Yeah.
We want to help you cover all the pieces.
Yeah. We spoke to a lot of our Wealth More members. And for those of you who are new here, All the Wealth is where we talk about the topics, but Wealth More is where you can download the app. Community is free. And you can work one on one with our wealth advisors and invest in any of our 4 managed portfolios. Here's what we know: everyday investors come into the market time and time again at the highs. And then when things get a little hectic in the market, they exit at the lows, which means maybe you bought a stock at $150 at its high, likely trending towards its 52-week high. Markets get a little choppy, you get nervous, and you maybe sold your shares at $100 and took a loss because you didn't have a wealth advisor that you could pick up the phone and talk to, that you can go through your long term investing strategy, and who can even make sense of what's happening in the market. Markets right now have taken a bit of a correction. And I would love retail investors to actually, for once, do the reverse. I would like you guys to flood our website, click on the button, and schedule a one on one with any of our wealth advisors. And I want you guys to do the opposite of traditional retail investors and say, how can I seize an opportunity to maybe come in at the lows? This is what many wealth managers are doing right now, calling their clients, looking for the bright spots in the market because they know that means even more upside to their clients.
Yeah, guys, we like sales. Right?
Yes,
It doesn't hurt when you walk into a store and you see something on sale. You feel like you accomplished
yes,
something. You can get that same feeling and invest to build wealth.
absolutely. And younger investors, I cannot talk about this enough. These are your opportunities. This is not a I will do one or the other. This is a moment to think about, how do I do all the things I need to do, which may be paying off student loan debt, coming into an affordable home ownership situation, and also making sure you leave room in that budget so that you can keep investing.
Yeah. I mean, when we are having our conversations, I always like to relate wealth building to your health journey, right? You know what you should be doing, but it's sort of hard to take those steps, right? We know what we should be doing, but you got to actually
Exactly.
do it. Imagine, you know how good it feels that day when you go into your app and you drank all your water and you got your steps and you ate
Yeah.
right? Like you did
Yeah.
all the things. That is what we're talking about when it comes to building wealth. Ticking all the boxes. We want to help you tick all the boxes consistently.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like there's a narrative out there that you have to pick. Well,
No,
I'm going
yeah.
to either pay off my student loans and I'm just going to be maniacally focused. And I think a lot of that has to do with the narrative around debt free. So this hyper focused on all debt must be eliminated, and no attention, no resources can go anywhere else until all debt is eliminated. We're here to tell you you have to do multiple things at once on this
Yeah.
wealth building journey.
Yeah. Do multiple things at once. And there may be one or two things that you overweight, but not at the expense of completely ignoring the other areas of your financial life. Tanya has different goals from Mical. My plan is going to look different from hers, and that is okay.
That's okay.
It's perfectly fine.
Yes.
My success is not hers, but us succeeding is awesome, right? And we
Yes.
want that for each other. We want that for you. And you just gotta just do it.
Yes.
Get it. It's the hardest thing to do. We
And Tanya, in all of your years of planning, is there ever a client that can build wealth by doing only one thing?
no, no.
Nope. So we need to like dispel this like insane myth that you can only do one. And there's no other area of your lives, guys, that you wake up on any given day and say, I am only responsible for doing one thing.
No, and you know what? I say this all the time. My most successful clients have done the boring things consistently.
Yes.
It's nothing complicated.
Yes.
You'd be so bored with what they tell you what they
But
did,
these
but they
are
did it over years.
absolutely. But they are also thinking about the strategies, right? I know
Mhm.
we're saying this broadly, but these are actually strategies that are backed by the numbers, which is the market over time has returned 10 plus percent. If you're looking at a student loan that has a 4, 5, 6% interest rate, and the market can return 10 or better, those are where your financial planner is looking at your opportunities. If you're looking at home ownership over time and how that asset category has appreciated, and knowing that you need a place to reside, and you do the math, you start to lay these options out and be strategic about how you do the things that are necessary while you build that wealth.
Mhm. Yeah,
While
and
you
listen,
build
we
that
are
wealth.
not discounting the situations where the student loan payment is too high. Work with your service provider. If it's a federal
Absolutely.
student loan, have the conversation with them. Figure out the
Yes.
plan that does work for you. Maybe you're in the wrong plan.
Absolutely. And I would encourage you guys to like look at these plans. I remember leveraging the gradual plan early on because you're starting your career, your salary is lower. I also wanted to make a point of investing in my 401k and making sure I got the match. So I made sure the payment plan allowed me to fund my 401k, allowed me to invest because I was like, hey, I will pay these loans down, but I don't need to accelerate payments on a really low interest rate. And these degrees will only help my income over time. And as my income grew, then I could flex the plan to meet my goals.
Yeah. I mean, and your student loan payment journey is very different based on your career. It's
Exactly.
very different person to person. Doctors, in particular, have a very unique path to education and career.
You got it.
And they have to be very strategic on how they approach their student loans. They're not
Yeah.
exempt from paying their student loans.
They're
Either.
not.
Everyone
They're
has to
not.
pay.
And this is where we say it's emotional, but we have to sort of make that decision to sort of like put the emotions in the parking lot so we can look at this objectively and say, how do we lay these things out so we can meet our goals? It is doable.
It is doable.
It is doable.
So
But
let's
they
do
are, yes, let's do it
it.
because they are just all pieces of a puzzle that we have to line up and get it done. And I know you guys are here because you can do it. You want to do it, and we can help you guys. So let's take some of this emotion out. Let's look at what the options are so that you guys can maximize your cash flow, have more cash to put towards your wealth building while you do the things you need to do to pay off your student loans or any other debt for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I know very few people who don't have a sort of debt payment plan, not because they're behind, it's just a part of their plan, right? This is the debt I have, this is how I pay it, this is what I use it for. Are we leveraging it for growth? That is a big component that can be used very, very wisely towards building wealth.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys will never hear from me that all debt is bad.
Yeah, it's not.
No, arbitrage is good.
Arbitrage is awesome.
And that's how,
Arbitrage is awesome. Should run across the stream.
yes, let's give arbitrage a big like confetti bath,
Yeah.
because arbitrage, guys, and this is where you look at, hey, what is the cost of my debt versus investing and how I might build wealth off of it. And we want you guys to be thinking about that in a smart way.
Yes.
And if you guys are like, how does that work? All the more reason for you to schedule a one on one, talk to our wealth advisors. I've done this every step of the way from the minute I got my first job, understood that investing was important, sat with a budget and looked at, okay, how do we do this? How do we get smart, informed about this? And of course, I fumbled along the way because I didn't have a wealth
We
advisor for
all
the
have.
longest. We all have.
I've been in wealth management for 25 years and I have stumbled.
Yes.
Everyone. This is why we say if money were just numbers, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We all have some sort of emotion attached to money, and that in a lot of instances affects our decisions.
Yes. And I'm, these are always opportunities for us to share with you guys some of our own like missteps along the way. I definitely felt like at some point I bought into the narrative of like, you just have to like get rid of these student loans, get rid of these student loans. And it was a very nice student loan officer when I called to say I wanted to try to consolidate, do all these things, who said to me, are you sure this is what you want to do with student loans? Your rate is very low.
Hmm.
And the person said to me, of course, they can't give financial advice. But I think that kind person saw that I was about to like maybe not make the best of decision. And they were like, you might want to, these rates are really low. They must have said it to me 3 times. Why are you?
You can also go on the studentloan.gov website and model payments. They have
Yes,
all the
please,
information.
guys,
You can
please.
model repayment options
You
before
got it
you call your servicer because that'll probably happen a lot faster than getting someone on the
on
phone.
the line.
But you
Yes.
can model them on the website and see what the different payment options are.
Yeah. And that kind person caused me to like pause. It's always good to pause. We always talk about the pause and really think about what I was doing. And they were like, you can always call us back if you really
Yeah.
want to do this. And I sort of paused and was like, hey, why am I? And at the time, I had a self directed investing account. My investments were returning like 18%. The market was rocking. And I was just like, what am I doing?
Were you thinking of consolidating to private?
I was thinking of like consolidating because we had also recently gotten married. And that person was also highlighting the fact that this was individual debt.
Hmm.
And if I consolidated, it would become household debt.
Yeah.
That's another big thing to think about. And we can do a whole episode about couples and managing your money when you couple up, because that was good advice on two dimensions. There was really no reason for us to consolidate that because if, forbid, anything happened to one of us, we would have been responsible for the combined debt versus the individual debt staying apart, since this was student loans from pre-marriage. So guys, something for you guys to think about. We didn't plan on getting here, but we're here in this conversation. And then also it was like there's no point in consolidating because when you consolidate, you lose some of those benefits that are specific to federal student loan debt.
Right. So I think, yeah. So, well, I just want to clarify here. You can
Yes.
consolidate your student loans with the federal government.
Yes.
I think what you're talking about is refinancing them, which is a
Or
different thing.
yes, which might be into like making them all into a private loan. So
Yes.
for those of you who have a combination of like federal and private loans, there are rules that are unique to federal loans that if you consolidate them, let's say with your private loan provider, you lose those benefits.
Right. Right.
Like some of the plans that exist for income, forbearance, hardship, those do not exist with private loans. So that is a big watch out. I know people are like, oh, I should consolidate. And I know there are companies that heavily promote consolidation, but I need you guys to realize that they do not carry the same protections as federal student loans.
Right. And a lot of them use the word consolidate the wrong
Yes.
way
Yes.
because that is an option with the federal student loans.
You got it.
You need to consolidate and refinance into private using, and but they use the word consolidate a lot
Yes.
because in essence that's what you're doing, but you're also refinancing when you go to
Yes.
a private lender.
Yeah. So my advice to you guys, if you are thinking about private lenders, be super clear about, hey, do you have any protections if I have repayment hardship? Do you have forbearance? Because these are unique benefits of our federal loan, student loans. They do not apply to private loans by and large. And these are the things that you guys need to be aware of. Just as we sort of started off with the pros and cons of these loans, these are some of the benefits that you lose when you move into private loans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, guys, May 5th, around the corner. If you haven't been in repayment, this is coming. If you have been, fantastic. Also, a good time to revisit your repayment plan to make sure it works for your financial needs and sort of your financial goals, both short term and long term. But more importantly, make this part of your strategy. Schedule 101. Tanya, please add, like, we can't say this stuff enough, right?
Yes, yes. Schedule one-on-one, meet with the planners. You can meet with me, you can meet with any of our other planners. They're all listed on our website. They all have links to their Calendly page so you can book time with them directly. And I'm also there as well.
Exactly. And for parents out here who might have questions, also a great time to like think about this so that you can share insights, information to some of the younger people in your lives who may not be sort of paying attention to this. Feel free to send them this episode. Just as we told military parents, send them to your young service members who may not be as attuned to financial planning and investing strategies.
Yep, we're here to help.
Awesome. Wealthies, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you have questions, follow ups, please schedule 101. Community is free. Download the Wealthmore app today. Wealthies, keep up the great work. See you next time.